it could read like a romance novel. If you didn't know that Aiden was cuckoo magoo, killing people, and has a woman locked in a bedroom in his house. Hello! Welcome to this week's video. For this week, I am doing a book review for, it's called The Quiet Tenant by Clemence Michallon, or Michallon. And I have to say that I loved this book until the ending. It was so good. And then the ending just fell really flat for me. So let me read you the back blurb, and then we'll get into my review. Aiden Thomas, a recent widower raising his 13-year-old daughter Cecilia, is a beloved figure in his small upstate New York town, the kind of neighbor who always lends a hand and has a good word for everyone. Aiden also has a dark secret. He's a kidnapper and a serial killer. He's murdered 8 women, and there's a 9th marked for death. Rachel, imprisoned for 5 years in a backyard shed. When he and Cecilia have to move, Aiden has no choice but to bring Rachel along, introducing her to Cecilia as a family friend who needs a place to stay. Aiden is betting that Rachel will be too brainwashed and fearful to attempt an escape. But Rachel is a fighter, and she sees in Cecilia the lifeline she's waited for all these years. And in Emily, the local restaurant owner newly interested in Aiden, either an ally or his next victim. Both a searing thriller and an astute study of trauma, survival, and the dynamics of power, The Quiet Tenant is an electrifying debut thriller by a major talent. So, this is her first book, and it's fantastic. But for the ending. So, we start off, and Rachel is in Aiden's shed. And she's been there for 5 years, and he comes in, and he rapes her, and it's just awful. And nobody knows that she's there. And then his wife dies, and for some reason, Aiden brings her along to his next house, to his new house. And the writing is amazing, and just, you definitely get sucked into the story. But there were a few things, apart from the ending, that I had questions. So, he has killed other women before and during, I believe, Rachel's imprisonment. Rachel, she had gone to, something had happened, and she was either it's not clear if she was actually raped or if it was an attempted date rape. But either way, she was assaulted. And to sort of get over the trauma, she decides, like every stupid woman, to go off to a cabin in the woods to get some me time and some time to sort of heal from her trauma. Women, stop doing this. Stop going off into the woods by yourself. Have you not seen I spit on your grave? That didn't work out well for her. And it didn't work out well for Rachel. So, yeah, she goes to this cabin in the woods by herself. And, of course, there's a serial killer who kidnaps her. Now, my first question is, why? Like, not why does he kidnap, well, kind of, like, why does he kidnap her when he kills pretty much every other woman? There's something about her, I don't know, like, she flips some kind of switch in him that makes him decide not to kill her and instead keep her as his sex slave for 5 years. And I wish we had some kind of insight into him about why is he keeping her alive? Why does he need to bring her with him into the new house when his wife dies? And his wife dies of cancer. And apparently they had this lovely, wonderful marriage where she didn't have a clue that her husband was a psycho cuckoo magoo. She had no idea. And God rest her soul, she died of cancer. So Aiden decides to bring Rachel to his new house, pretending that she's just a family friend who's going to be living with them for a while. And he lets her out to have, like, dinner with him and his daughter. And his daughter's like, okay, this woman, this family friend or whatever, is, like, just living with us now and is, like, renting a room, essentially. And every night, he pretty much goes into her room, because the only time that he lets her out is for, like, dinners and things. For the rest of the time, I guess the daughter thinks that she's out doing, like, living her life, when in reality she's actually locked in her bedroom, like, handcuffed to the bed. And the only time she's let out is to have the occasional dinner with them. But gradually, she starts developing a rapport with the daughter, Cecilia, and Cecilia is more like, oh, like, I'm going to be watching this on TV. Do you want to stay with me to watch it? And the father has, like, no reason to say no, so gradually, like, without, raising suspicions, so gradually, more and more, Rachel starts spending more time out of the bedroom. And he tells her that he has cameras everywhere, sort of, like, in the house. And so he can see if she ever, like, tries to escape. And that he's doing some, like, electrical work or whatever, and, like, up in the towers and wires things, that there's cameras, like, that can look out onto the street. So if she tries to run away, he'll see her from whatever vantage point up in the electrical tower things or what have you. So she believes that there's no way that she can escape because he will be always watching her. He even gives her this bracelet that is sort of like a GPS thing that will, like, alert him to, like, where she is at all times. And also running parallel to what's happening there is Aiden goes to this restaurant where this woman works named Emily. Now, the whole Emily Aiden thing gave me the hella ick, because Emily is very attracted to Aiden. And if you take Emily and Aiden's story by itself, it could read like a romance novel. If you didn't know that Aiden was cuckoo magoo, killing people, and has a woman locked in a bedroom in his house. So every time Emily would talk about how her feelings for him were growing and how she was attracted to him, and they actually do start developing a relationship and they do the thing, and just when they were, like, when it was describing the sex scene, I was so icked out, because it was supposed to be In any other context, it would be this sexy scene. But in the context of knowing who Aiden is, not so much. And there's even a point where Aiden takes Rachel out for a drive with him. And it just sort of felt like, because Aiden is, again, like it's the blurb says, like friendly with everybody knows him, he's that guy, he's like the favorite neighborhood guy who like helps everybody and blah blah blah. So it kind of felt like he took her out for like a little drive around the town, and he bumps into like the judge and is like very friendly with the judge, and the judge is friendly with him, and it just kind of felt like he was showing Rachel like, nothing you do, like nobody will believe anything you say because I am such a pillar of the community. So everyone will be on my side. That's what he believes. And that brings me to question number 2. There's a scene where they're in the restaurant and they're talking about this woman named May Mitchell who went missing and nobody has found her. And again, this is I'm going to put in the description or in the title that this is a spoilery review. You learn later on that Rachel is the name that Aiden gave her, and is the name that he makes her refer to herself. But her actual name is May Mitchell. She's the woman who's been missing all this time. And the people in the town know this, which leads me to my next question. If the people in the town know that this May Mitchell woman is missing, presumably they know this because there were missing posters around, and her story was like probably on their local news. Would the judge not have recognized her when he saw her in Aiden's car? That's a question that I have. So, yeah. So he brings her back, and they have this routine where like she's in the bedroom and she's like sometimes comes out, and she suspects that there is something going on with the father and the daughter. And I don't think that's actually really made clear, because Rachel hears footsteps every night and sort of sees him going into the daughter's room. So she assumes that something is going on there. And it's not really ever kind of really made clear. Like, it's kind of insinuated that it's not what Rachel thinks. But at least for me, it's not really made clear, what is it then? And then there's one time where Rachel gets free of the handcuffs. And she decides that she's not going to escape because she's afraid. But look, she's been in there for like 5 years and traumatized as fuck, and she's afraid that she won't make it, and if that he'll see her, and he's got all eyes everywhere. And but she decides to risk it and kind of explore the house. So she goes down to the basement where she sees that he has all these trophies from other women that he's killed. I believe at one point there's even, I think it's Cecilia has a necklace that was actually Rachel's. And he gave it to his daughter. She has no idea, of course. Cecilia has no idea that that's Rachel's necklace, but so she goes in the basement and she sees that he has all these trophies. Like he has like a wallet from some girl, sunglasses from another, and so she like sees this, and then she goes up and handcuffs herself back to the bed. But now it's kind of like, okay, when it's the right time, I will know how to get myself free, kind of thing. And then there's a point where Emily comes by to the house and sees Rachel. And Rachel is kind of like, oh, yeah, family friend here, just a roommate, nothing to see here, kind of thing. And then when Aiden comes home that same day, he makes no mention of the fact that he saw Emily there. And that starts Rachel's gears turning. He definitely would have mentioned to her that he knew that Emily was there, and, what were you doing talking to her, and what were you doing walking around the house, and blah, 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 with like nobody, or nobody's home, you're supposed to be locked up in your bedroom, blah, blah, blah. He mentions none of that. So it starts to occur to Rachel that he's lied to her. He does not have cameras in the house. So what are the odds that he would have any kind of surveillance on her at all? That he was just telling her that to keep her in line, to scare her into staying where she was. So she starts formulating this plan where there's going to be a party, and she's supposed to stay in the house, and the party is going to be like out in the backyard or something, and nobody's going to be coming into the house, she believes. Or that's what Aiden thinks. And she decides when that party is happening is when she's going to escape. And she's going to take Cecilia with her. Because she believes that Aiden is harming his daughter. Now, okay, the whole taking Cecilia with her thing, I understand that Rachel felt an affinity for his daughter. She cared about his daughter. But the fact, like, did she not think that if she took his daughter, that he would want to come after her even more? I mean, like, she should have just taken the car and escaped by herself, which would have been, dangerous enough. But you took his daughter. You're assuring that he's gonna come after you. Which he does. Yeah, this is when the whole like from that point on, the story just went off the rails for me. She pulls a gun on Cecilia. It's not loaded, but Cecilia doesn't know that. And is essentially kidnapping her. Maybe she thought that if I take the daughter that he won't hurt me in front of her, kind of thing. And at gunpoint, Cecilia goes with her. And there's this one point where he's with Emily when he realized, like, they're at the party, whatever, and he realizes that Rachel is gone with his daughter, and he gets in the car and gets in his truck, and Emily gets in with him, and Emily actually hears him say, "I should have killed her long ago." She is understandably taken aback by that statement. And so they're chasing. There's the car chase. And at one point, Aiden gains on her and cuts her off, and they stop the cars, and Cecilia has a choice to either go with Rachel or run back to her father to safety. And I believe at some point she runs back to Rachel. And I remember reading that and not understanding why. But at some point, Cecilia, goes back to her father, gets her back, and Rachel runs straight to the police station. And that's when, of course, I don't remember if Aiden, follows her straight to the police station, or if he turns around and, I don't want to go there, kind of thing. And she runs to the police station and says, that's when we learn her real name. I'm the missing woman, May Mitchell. And that's sort of the end of that scene and that part of the story. We don't get to see Aiden getting arrested or charged or any of that, which I felt gypped. That we didn't get to see this upstanding member of the community taken in and made to pay sort of for his crimes. We only get the fallout of after he's already been put in prison and all that. And the ending really fell flat for me, because the fallout really focused on Emily. And I really could give two craps about Emily. I was not here for Emily's thoughts on, oh my god, my boyfriend's a serial killer. What am I gonna do now with my life? I was not here for that. I wanted Rachel's emotions and thoughts. I wanted Cecilia's emotions and thoughts. But no, we got I think 5 pages of Emily dealing with her trauma of having fucked a serial killer. And she felt that to deal with her trauma, she had to go and see Rachel. And there's a scene that really bothered me. That was, Emily goes to see Rachel. And extends her arms out to her. And Rachel takes her in her arms and hugs her. No. No, no, no. You were in a relationship with the man who held me hostage for 5 years. Sorry for you, but I don't want nothing to do with you. I have my trauma to deal with. You go your way. The one person I wanted to see and share a scene with their shared trauma is Rachel and Cecilia. And we never got that. We got Cecilia. Oh yeah, we got Rachel dealing with her trauma for about 2 pages. We got Cecilia dealing with her trauma for about 2 pages. Where Cecilia is, I think, living with relatives of her mom, I think? I don't know if it was her dad's grandparents from her dad's side or her mom's side. But either way, she's living with relatives, and she's thinking about going to see Rachel. And she's dealing with the fact that, you know, I have all these good memories of my father, and it turns out he was a monster, but does that negate the good memories that I have of him, and, you know, that kind of thing. So we end the story with Cecilia thinking about going to see Rachel, and they're, you know, her family's telling her, like, oh no, you shouldn't, and blah blah blah, and, you know, that's not going to be good for you. And I think it would be very good for her. The reunion that I didn't want was Emily and Rachel, because I'm sorry, you finding out your boyfriend is a serial killer, what do you want? If I'm Rachel, what do you want me to do with that? Like, I can't do anything for you. And that just would make me feel, like, angry. Like, why are you putting your relatively insignificant trauma on me when I have real trauma? Why am I supposed to help you deal with your trauma? Why am I, Rachel, supposed to help you, Emily, deal with the trauma that you effed a serial killer? I did not like that at all. So, yeah, the scene that I wanted, we never got. The ending became more about Emily than about Rachel and Cecilia. So that's why this book, instead of a 5 stars, I'm going to give it I want to say 4, but the more I think about the ending, the more I'm irked by it. But it was more than a 3.5 or a 3.75. So I'm gonna keep it as a 4 out of 5 stars. Which, yeah, that'll be my rating for it. But yeah, the whole, like, when she sees the judge, And even like when she runs to the police station, why does nobody recognize her as May Mitchell? Because there's a scene where they're talking about it in the restaurant, about the disappearance of this woman, May Mitchell. And why does Aiden kill all those other women but keep Rachel alive? And for 5 years. I wish we got some insight into that. I wish we got some insight into Aiden's thought process and like why he was keeping this woman alive. So, yeah. All in all, I had some questions. I had a few things I didn't like, namely that ending. But for the most part, awesome. Great book. Great book. Well written. Oh my God, well written. Like, totally immersed you and sucked you in, like from page 1. The only ick for me was the Emily and Aiden relationship. But that's because you have the context of knowing he's a serial killer. So, yeah, that's going to be it for this week's video. Have you read this book? I would love to know what you think. What did you think of that ending? Did it work for you? Because it didn't work for me. Yeah. So, let me know what you thought of the book. And that's going to be it for this week's video. Follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/authorejamie. Like my Facebook page at facebook.com/authorejamie. And I will talk to you guys next time. Emily and Aiden, that was just so fucking gross. Oh, that was so gross. Bye.